The camp of Israel sprawled across the wilderness, a vast assembly of tents and lives under the watchful leadership of Moses and Aaron. The people of Israel, freshly delivered from the bondage of Egypt, now journeyed toward the promised land. They were a chosen people, yet prone to doubt and dissent. Among them was a man named Korah, a Levite of the Kohathite clan, whose heart grew restless and rebellious against the authority of Moses and Aaron. Korah was not alone in his discontent. He gathered around him three influential allies, Dathan, Abiram, and On, sons of Reuben. Together, they began to sow seeds of division among the Israelites. Their discontent resonated with others, and soon 250 leaders of the community, men of renown, joined their cause. These men, emboldened by their collective strength, sought to challenge the authority of Moses and Aaron, questioning their leadership and God's divine appointment. Korah and his followers approached Moses and Aaron boldly, their voices filled with defiance. "You have gone too far," they declared. "The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" The word stung, but Moses, a man of humility and deep reverence for God, fell face down before the Lord in prayer. Rising, he addressed Korah and his followers. "In the morning, the Lord will show who belongs to him and who is holy. He will cause the one he chooses to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to take censers, put burning coals and incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. The man the Lord chooses will be the one who is holy. You Levites have gone too far." Moses' rebuke was pointed. The Levites already held a privileged position, chosen to serve in the tabernacle. Yet Korah was not satisfied. His ambition blinded him to the responsibilities and blessings of his calling. Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, but they refused to come. Their response was filled with scorn and bitterness. "Isn't it enough that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? And now you also want to lord it over us. Moreover, you haven't brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Do you think you can blind these men's eyes? No, we will not come." Their words were a direct assault on Moses' leadership and a distortion of God's plan. Egypt, the place of their slavery, was now being described as a land of milk and honey, a reversal born out of rebellion and discontent. The next day, Korah and his followers, each with a censer filled with burning incense, stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The entire assembly of Israel gathered to witness the confrontation. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anticipation and unease. The glory of the Lord appeared to the entire assembly, and God spoke to Moses and Aaron. "Separate yourselves from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once." But Moses and Aaron fell face down and pleaded, "O God, the God who gives breath to all living things, will you be angry with the entire assembly when only one man sins?" The Lord instructed Moses, "Say to the assembly, 'Move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.'" Moses obeyed, and the people moved away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrances of their tents, along with their wives, children, and little ones. The scene was somber, the gravity of their defiance evident to all. Moses spoke to the assembly, "This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things and that it was not my idea. If these men die a natural death and suffer the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something totally new, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them, with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the realm of the dead, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt." As soon as Moses finished speaking, the ground under them split apart. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, along with all Korah's men and all their possessions. They went down alive into the realm of the dead, and the earth closed over them. The people of Israel fled in terror, crying out, "The earth is going to swallow us too." The judgment did not end there. Fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who had offered incense. Their rebellion had been decisively judged, leaving a stark warning to all of Israel. The Lord then instructed Moses to have Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, gather the censers from the smoldering remains. These were to be hammered into sheets to overlay the altar as a reminder to the Israelites that only the descendants of Aaron were to burn incense before the Lord. Despite the dramatic display of God's judgment, the rebellion had lingering effects. The very next day, The entire assembly of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, accusing them of killing the Lord's people. The Lord's anger was kindled once again, and a plague began to spread among the people. Moses instructed Aaron to take his censer, fill it with incense, and make atonement for the people. Aaron ran into the midst of the assembly, standing between the living and the dead, and the plague was stopped. Nevertheless, 14,700 people died from the plague, in addition to those who had perished with Korah. The story of Korah's rebellion serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers of pride, ambition, and rebellion against God's appointed leaders. Korah's desire for power led to his destruction, and his defiance of God's order brought judgment upon himself, his family, and his followers. This story is not merely about ancient Israel. It speaks to all who would challenge God's authority and the structure he has established. It reminds us of the seriousness of sin and the necessity of humility, obedience, and reverence before the Lord. The earth swallowing of Korah and the fire consuming his followers stand as eternal symbols of God's justice and holiness. Yet, the intercession of Moses and Aaron highlights God's mercy and his desire to save those who turn to him in repentance. As the Israelites moved forward in their journey, the memory of Korah's rebellion would remain with them, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. The hammered bronze overlay on the altar stood as a perpetual reminder that God is holy, his ways are just, and his servants are to be honored. May we learn from their story, walking humbly before God and submitting to his perfect will.